This video is about how to switch out the aux port on a 2008 Toyota Avalon. A couple of the tools you need here. Of course, the replacement aux port. Ordered this one off Amazon, about 20 bucks. At the Toyota dealership, whenever I called, charged about 130 or 40-ish. So I went with the cheaper option. Couldn't find any videos on how to replace this, to fix this part, so I decided to just go ahead and make one myself. Hopefully helps the people out. So you got the part itself. Need a spoon or some sort of opening device. Phillips head screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and 13mm socket. Okay, let's head inside. The aux port on this particular car is actually inside the center console. Makes it a little bit more difficult to get to. It's down right in there, as opposed to up on the front here with easy access. So basically what we have to do is remove this entire metal piece, flip this piece up, and then get up underneath to take the aux port out. So the reason I'm switching this out is because on my Bluetooth device here goes to the aux cable, and I've noticed a loud, kind of screechy or even whistly noise that gets corrected whenever I wiggle the cord around. That tells me that the port is probably a little bit loose. So to access here, first step, we need to remove the shifter head, but before we even do that, for this piece to come off, the shifter needs to be in neutral so that we can pull this plastic up off on top of it. Go into the car into accessory mode here. Make sure that my parking brake is on, and down into neutral. Gonna turn off my lights and my air conditioning and my radio to try to conserve battery. Okay, so now that we're in neutral, we're going to want to turn this shifter head counterclockwise. Quick and easy, comes right off. Stick it down here on the floorboard. Okay, first plastic piece, this one right here, pretty easy. Pops right off, just like that. Okay, now for this one, it's where a spoon comes in. Basically, we're trying to wedge underneath here to pop it out of these clips. I haven't really found a tried and true method. Just kind of guess and check. See where I can get an access point. There we go. I was able to access it back over here. There's a little clip. Obviously, with these being little plastic clips, you're going to want to be pretty careful. You don't want to snap any of these to where they don't come back into place afterwards. Okay. Now over on this side. There we go. Kind of popped up underneath here. So now we see our entire piece is loose. Okay. Now, to get this piece out, kind of have to shimmy it. It is a little bit tight under here where the plastic meets the dash. Okay. Pushing it down a little bit. There we go. And our centerpiece is out. Okay, next step. Now that that centerpiece is out, we have two screws exposed. 1, 2. one on the left, one on the right. Those are both Phillips head screws, so here's our Phillips head screwdriver. Take it out. Make sure not to drop it down there. Screw on the left. Take it out. One, two Phillips head screws. I'm gonna go ahead and put those down here on the floorboard, out of the way, with my center console piece. Now, this is loose. That is good. Next step, we're gonna go into the back seat to get back behind here. I'm gonna take my spoon with me, my flathead with me, and my Phillips head with me as I go to the back seat. Okay, here we are on the back seat. We need to take this grill piece off. You want to be careful with this. You might end up scratching the plastic a little bit. For me personally, the car is a 2008. It's 12 years old. Got over 300,000 miles on it. If it gets a couple scratches here and there, no big deal. Okay, so now under here, I have 4 screws, Phillips head, 1, 2, 3, 4. You do have an air conditioning vent under here, so you want to be careful that when you take these out, to kind of cup your hand underneath so they don't fall in. Okay. Alright, we've removed all 4 Phillips head screws. I'm going to keep them down here with my grill cover so they don't get lost. See that the back part of this is now loose. And head back to the front of the car for the next part. Okay, back up front. Now, we need to access the center here, because there's our aux. There's a little felt piece that's in here. Just take it out. And it exposes 2 bolts. There's our 13 millimeters right there. Once they're loose, you can just kind of twist it out by hand. 1, 2. So there's 1. Here's 2. I'm going to stick these down out of the way as well so they don't go missing. Now our entire assembly is out. Now, to access where the actual aux port is, you kind of lift it up from the back, pull it out towards you, face it up. I like to stick it up on top of this middle part, tilt it forward. Now that it's tilted forward on the back side here, see our 2 connections. One of them's for the cigarette lighter, the power. One of them's for the actual aux port. There's a little release clip here. Try to push that down by hand to take the cable out. These cables are pretty thin, so you want to be careful here. Pops out. Now on the piece itself, there's a clip up on top, clip down below. You need to pinch those and push it out towards the top. My fingers are a little on the chunky side. There we go. Now that this is loose, I'm just going to push it out towards the top of the console. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of gently set it back down. Looks like our metal felt piece came out there. Because you have to remember that these are connected down here as well. So you don't want to be too rough with this top part. Okay, our aux connector is loose out here in the open. So we're going to put this into the box so we don't confuse it with the new one, because they do look very similar. New one's here in my left hand, old one here in the right hand. New one has green up top rather than gray. There's the only real noticeable difference here. Okay. Now, for the new one, I want to pop it into that open spot. Make sure it's the same direction as before. Nice satisfying click. Okay, lift it back up gently. On the bottom side here, stick our connector back in. Nice and snug. Okay, now we put it back down and reassemble. Could test it out first for the purposes of this video. I already know that that piece is good, so we're going to skip that part. Okay, we need to reattach our two Phillips head screws here. Remember, we stuck into the side up here before. 1, 2. Grab my Phillips head screwdriver from the back. 1. 2. We're going to want to put our bolts back in here. Put those inside of the cup holder. 1, 2. Get them seated. Go ahead and start by hand. Tighten it up a little bit with the ratchet. Okay. Now we can put our little felt piece back in. Right here around where the aux cable is. The aux port, rather. Can put this little felt piece back in here as well. And head back to the back seat. We're going to need our Phillips head back there. Okay, back here in the back seat. I'm going to be reattaching those 4 screws. Since it's kind of pushed out from the back right now, what I find easier is to lift up to kind of wedge it back in. And remember, there's a vent down here. Just want to make sure that you have a finger underneath so the screw doesn't fall down into the vent. Got our bottom right there. Bottom left there. Now it's pretty much seated, so I'm going to push the top down for our last 2. Top right, top left. Okay, now that's all nice and tight. We can clip our vent cover back in place, starting at the top and pushing down towards the bottom. There we go. We are done in the back seat. Back to the front. Okay, our last part here is to reattach our center piece. This is why you had to have the shifter in neutral. You're going to want to lift this up. There we go. Not a professional here by any stretch of the imagination. Just a guy who wanted to replace his aux port. Couldn't figure out online how to do it. There weren't any YouTube videos for this particular model. Couldn't really find anything on the forums either. Push it down, put our clips back in place. So I decided to make a video myself. if it works. Hopefully it helps some people out and alleviates some frustration for you guys and gals out there who just want to switch yours out as well. Okay. Now we're going to put our shifter back on. Put our centerpiece. Put our Bluetooth back in. Okay. Nice and tight. Here we go. So far so good. Maybe icy. Yeah, pretty chilly outside there today for here in South Central Texas. Turn on our aux cable here. Don't hear any buzzing, so that's a good sign. Normally there'd be a kind of steady buzzing noise there. We're gonna try to make a phone call here. We are connected to the Bluetooth.
At Frost, we believe that if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Good
Frost,
advice.
Banking, and thank you for calling.
Thank you. Just for good measure, find some music here.
Ignition sequence start.
Sounds good. All right. So, just like that, we've replaced the aux port in a 2008 Toyota Avalon. Switched out this little plastic piece. We've got our calling functionality back by Bluetooth. Got our music functionality back by Bluetooth. And we are good to go for another 320,000 miles, hopefully. Hope this helps somebody out. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments below. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but I'll try to help you where I can. Everyone have a great and happy new year. Bye.